Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi. Imran Khan is making the stir again. Actually, we had a great show with General Ryan last night. Today, we're going to talk about some more developments, some andar ki khabar that is coming out. What is the Pakistani army trying to do with Pakistan? And of course, a question about the nukes which are there in Pakistan. The world must be getting a bit concerned about what's happening in the country, looking at the attacks which have taken place on the military establishment. What's happening with this place is something that we will try and figure out a little more tonight. Guys, thank you so much for joining in. And sorry about my voice. If I hope my audio is clear, let me know if you guys have trouble hearing me. So thanks so much for joining me. Please don't forget to start with liking the video. Yes, I did vote today, so start with liking the video, subscribe to the channel. Most importantly, share it with your friends and people who are interested with this kind of stuff. And yes, you can contribute to the Dev Talks efforts. The QR code is right here. You can become a member, which is what Pushkar has done. Thanks, Pushkar, for becoming a member of Dev Talks. And you can send us a super sticker or super chat. At the end of it, as usual, I've got some slides. I thought, let me get this game going by myself. I've got some slides for you guys where I am going to show you some stuff which is happening. Let's see. Right, let's begin. It says inside the Pakistani army's action. And who's looking after the nukes? Very, very critical two questions. What's happening? What is the Pakistani army thinking when they're doing whatever they're doing with this game? Now, I'd just like to refer to my last week's video where I asked a very simple question. There was a solo video done about 8-10 days back. Is that where is all these actions? And I've done a video with General Atta Hasnain about this. I've spoken to him about this. General Dua I spoke to about. Now, all these actions, especially in Kashmir region, Rajouri, Poonch, all that area that Pakistanis did, I personally had a thing that this was more to do with their internal politics. Let's try and understand from that particular angle what is the Pakistani army trying to do. Okay, let's move to the second one, which says shut down Pakistan. Now, this was a call that was given by the PTI, Imran Khan's party. This design and all that came up. I showed this yesterday as well, and it came out from them itself. Now, couple of things that have got clear. The trigger for this action, there has to be one thing that breaks the camel's back, was the mention, of course, of Imran Khan by Imran Khan of Dirty Harry. The name, Major General Faisal Nasir. He's the DG of Counterintelligence in ISI, one of the senior most major generals in ISI. So this is somewhat to be a trigger. Now, you guys will say, why are you saying that? Because the Pakistani army is saying that. It says the chairman PTI has leveled highly irresponsible and baseless allegations against a serving senior military officer without any evidence. Very clear, right? So this is a press statement that came out from the Pakistani army, from the ISPR, and said that, boss, this is not acceptable. This Imran Khan, what he's done is not acceptable. He's made very irresponsible and baseless allegations on a senior military officer without any evidence. These are fabricated, malicious allegations, are extremely unfortunate, deplorable and unacceptable, and so on and so forth. The ranting went on. So this is exactly that came out from the Pakistani DG ISPR. He also did a press conference where all this exactly was said. Now, we mentioned the trigger, Major General Faisal Nasir. All got leaked today between him, Dirty Harry, and the SP of Lahore. I have taken a screen grab of this particular call with what is written at the bottom. Kill 2 to 4 people. You have to hear it, guys. This call is quite insane. Let me just see if I can ding it out and put it in the chat box. If you guys want to just listen to it on your phones or something like that, I will put it right here. This call is insane. If it's actually real, it's quite insane. It talks about the factor that the DGC, Dirty Harry, the Major General, is actually instructing the of Lahore to kill a couple of chaps, drop a few dead, so that there's some sort of a fear that goes through. This call is about what I think 35 seconds, which is what has been recorded. It's insane. I mean, you guys really please listen to it. If it's real, it tells us a lot. He also said that, ऐसे कैसे यार, we have to spread the fear, election selection का date pass आ रहा है and all that, that entire drama was also said, which leads me to kind of say I don't know whether he's actually said something like that, but it's Pakistan. So what's happening in Pakistan? The Islamabad High Court has legalized the arrest. Chalo bhai, ho gaya kaam. He was produced in court today. There's some photographs of him and all that stuff. So the PTI, the Imran Khan supporters, I wonder why, but anyways, let's see this. Interesting podcast by Smita Prakash with Sushant Sareen and Mr. Tilak Devasar. They asked one very interesting question there, which I'd like to refer to. Is that why are the Pakistani people so crazy about Imran Khan? Now, both of them kind of allege to the factor that there is a cult sort of a formation behind. Sushant kind of said that is that there's a cult sort of a formation behind the name of Imran Khan. Uh, the discussion also talked about the factor that you throw anything at him and it doesn't stick, which I kind of agree to. It is very very interesting that Imran Khan has got corruption allegations, sex tapes, whole lot of stuff coming out, but nothing seems to be sticking to that guy as far as the public is concerned. So that tells you that this is sort of a cult. I'd actually go a little further than what they were talking about is the Messiah complex of Pakistan. They always have this thing, ek farishta aayega kahin se, and they will do something and set the country state with a magic wand. Even now, I mean, they're fighting for Imran Khan, dying for Imran Khan, not knowing whether Imran Khan can actually fix the place, which is impossible to fix at the moment. So it's a very interesting sort of a scenario where an entire country is going gaga over a buffoon who probably doesn't will ruin the country even further. So I'd call it a messiah complex rather than a and combined with this whole cult formation of people which is running around the country today. The ex-finance minister Asad Umar was also arrested. There were news that Shah Mahmood Qureshi ko bhi karne wale. That's going to be interesting. With his profound English and so on and so forth, he'll be interesting behind bars. There's a complete internet shutdown. VPNs are going viral. Proton, this, that, and the other. I mean, there is every second, third tweet on this timeline of Pakistan is showing this thing. By the way, I kind of switched my location to Pakistan on Twitter to get the feed from there. So I got a lot of funny stuff. It's an amazing country that talks about all sorts of weird things. Uh, they aren't at a certain, my analysis of whatever's been happening on Twitter in Pakistan. They've A lot of people have got VPN, right? People are putting out videos, not great quality since yesterday, since the internet got shut down. But there's a lot which is happening there. Big cities are still functional. Karachi is still functional, so a lot of stuff is coming out from there. Islamabad is still functional. There's a big battle going on there. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Uh, so it's very interesting that this country, what it's talking about on Twitter, it's abusive on both the sides, as a matter of fact, and people are some people are of course upset with the damage and destruction which is taking place in Pakistan. So other people are saying, well, you know what, that's how it is. You kind of screwed us for all of our lives. Now let us do what we want to. Uh, it's funny. There's news coming out that Bajwa's son, and I think on the WhatsApp group guys were talking about it. Bajwa's son's Audi showroom was burnt up last night. There's news that Shehbaz Sharif's private home was burnt down last night. Uh, Corps Commander Lahore's house, people were stealing korma and Coca-Cola and salads and stuff like that from his fridge. Uh, Interesting. That tells you that Corps Commander Saab was still there in the residence just a short while ago. I'll tell you why I say that, and I know that, and what his comments were also actually going forward. So stay tuned till the end of this thing. It'll give you a certain interesting insight into the Pakistani army and the corps commander's relationship with the generals. Yes, Sawan Saab, you're right. They took these poor little peacocks and hens and sad. I mean, it's terrible. But they stole a lot of stuff. I mean, that's what has been happening around Pakistan even as we speak. 1,000 people nearly arrested, and now, mind you guys, 1,000 people was my news at about 6:30 in the evening. Yeah, a little before that, uh, the numbers would have gone up. Reports of 30 dead, and again, this is at about 5:36 in the evening. Uh, I was watching some guys right now who talked about 47 people having being killed. In And all of them are civilians. None of them are security personnel. As reported right now, Chinese have shut down their operations and have told their citizens, "Yeah, be careful, be ready. We'll let you know when to go." Peshawar, there's this killa sort of a thing, which is the army compound. I mean, a beautiful thing. I have not seen such stuff in India, but there's massive firing happening in that area. There's multiple reports, multiple videos of it. So it's, and you can see the muzzle fire in those videos. So it's not something that can be uh, built up through AI or anything like that. These are pretty authentic, and you can, I mean, watch it 3 4 times, and you can get these little nuances and figure out uh, what's happening within these little things. Reported quarrels. Now, there's this one tweet that went around. This is guys in black wearing police uniforms fighting with army chaps. Now, this might be just one incident somewhere, but if it's one, I have this thumb rule: 1:35. There'll be probably 35 more, and I have some information that there are certainly more, and I will tell you where. Uh, as I said, heavy firing in Islamabad police line headquarters. The police themselves don't know who's doing the shooting, and why I write this is there's a little. I've sent a little bit of a what you may call it, a drone or a birdie which is flying around in Pakistan and giving me a little insight. There has been a little chaos in front of the Islamabad police line headquarters. What happened was is the firing started. The cops decided to retaliate, but they didn't know who was doing the firing. Uh, a lot of crossfire happened. One or chap got injured, but still, where the firing came from has not been able to be confirmed. Of course, there are multiple reports of this, and I'll just uh, PTI guys have looted some army stocks and some police stocks last night. So there's stuff happening there. Just before I started the show, there was a video on Twitter with, I mean, the kind of fire that was being seen in that area in Islamabad was pretty amazing. I mean, so the see, why am I mentioning this firing in Peshawar and Islamabad? Yesterday there were reports of it in Faisalabad as well. The factor of firing is very, very, very important, because once people start dropping dead, 30, 40 people in Pakistan, sorry to say, it's a terrible thing to say, but it's not much for them. Uh, but once a mass sort of a incident happens, where some security forces lose their lives and some protesters lose their lives and stuff like that, then the things of spiraling out of control is pretty easy. Uh, a lot of people allege, and a lot of people said this yesterday in the comments, that is Pakistani army just lighting up fires here and there and doing all this stuff? Are they doing it to kind of instigate something here and there? Well, these things go out of hand very fast, so it's quite a dangerous scenario if they're trying to do this. I don't think so at the moment, at least. uh right, let's this was very interesting to me. uh Very, very interesting to me. The top one is a sculpture which is there in Mujibpur in Bangladesh, which showcases pulling off terrible things that happened in Bangladesh. And this is yesterday. There's this girl, I mean, there's a model actress sort of a thing, who went and threw her chadar in front of the police, and they dragged her and took her away. And so there's a comparison that is being made within Pakistan itself. And these are Pakistani handles. As I told you, I've kind of switched my location to Pakistan. The kind of videos I'm seeing there is about 1971, the Pakistani army removing their belts and removing their weapons and putting it down. They are talking about all that kind of stuff to their army today. So there's something very interesting. They are taking Indian propaganda videos, twisting the voice, making a voice note, putting their Imran Khan sound and putting it down. let me just say this: the kind of information warfare attack that has been masked by the PTI is quite interesting and quite something that we must learn. In India, we don't give too much to propaganda, but trust you me, you can look at what's happening in Pakistan. That one, as I said sometime earlier, lack of a better word, buffoon, who doesn't have a plan for the future of the country, has basically made this entire country go nuts over him. Uh, at least 70% of the country nuts over him, or 60% or 50%, whatever you may call it. The army has cracks in it. There have been fights, reported firing within the city. And this is not any other city but Islamabad, which is their capital. Uh, People have broken into, a whole lot of uh, big military sort of compounds. Even the GHQ, gate number 4, north side, breached. I know a certain amount of details, developing some sort of a source within there. I won't tell you who it is. The Karachi police reported something very interesting. Two terrorists tried to kill Chinese at Dawood Jetty. ठीक है? Look at very very targeted tweet that the Karachi police put out, and I'm sure the Chinese are uh, scared when they see something like that, because at the end of it, you must understand the Chinese have also already lost close to about 20-22 people within Pakistan. This is recently, in the past 1 or 2 years. Now you also have an exchange of fire, which he says, and one terrorist killed, other one managed to escape. One police constable is Akram Ali, posted at SPU, got injured, and blah 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 blah. Happened today morning, yesterday morning, talks about the fact that somebody targeted the Chinese. Okay, that's very very important for us to remember. Why am I emphasizing on this? Is because please understand, within the chaos in Pakistan, the terrorists want to come close, as closest to Indus as possible, and that is what is going to happen if there is a gap and the army is fighting the population. TTP is going to say hello very very soon. Amazingly, note this: in the past 2 days, no TTP attack has happened. No Balochistan attack has happened. Nothing. All that stuff is quiet. That's one of the reasons why I've discussed this with General Ryan. I have discussed this with General Dushan Singh also. They both allege to the factor that this guy Imran Khan has some collections in that side of the game, and that is one of the reasons why you don't see attacks. Right? This is a targeted attack on the Chinese. Read it, and that's not me saying. The Karachi police is saying this. Internet ban, as I said, this is some a PTI handle of some sort. I don't know him personally or anything like that. It says that people from Islamabad who are living near and who are living near them, means the protest areas, must remove passwords from their Wi-Fi to allow information to be transmitted. People in Islamabad who can join must do so. They want what is happening on the ground to come out. Now, as I said, internet ban is there, but certain cities, DHA, this, that is still not fully in control of this thing. Is a little joke I saw in the Pakistani Twitter feed. It says, "Sir, अवाम ने VPN use करके हमें double जलील कर रही है, अब क्या करूं?" So, of course, I don't know if the Pakistani army is that technologically sound that they'll be able to start blocking VPN and stuff. But the next question I ask is, where is the senior leadership of Pakistan? Now I'm coming to something, guys. If there's a build up, all these things will kind of make a little sense by the end of it. Asim Munir was in Oman, now in Qatar. Evening only, there's one photograph come out, smartly dressed up in front of the Emir of Qatar, sitting there with his cap and all that stuff. Shehbaz Sharif is, of course, at his base, which is London. There's a huge protest happening there. There's another drama which is taking place in London. Londoners are getting pissed off. Again, if you see the British Twitter, it's all about why are Pakistanis blocking the road. If they love their country so much, why don't they go back there and do what they need to? Why are they making our lives miserable? So people are, of course, pissed off there. Um, Shehbaz Sharif, as I said, London. Bajwa Saab is in Dubai. Interesting that he's also not there in the country. Uh, Bajwa is still a big kingpin within the Pakistani army, and that's something which is pretty well known. Billu Rani or Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, the foreign minister of Pakistan, who's trying to become the prime minister of Pakistan. Remember, he passed a big test as far as the Pakistani army is concerned by stepping on India's soil and going back. Just that action is quite a bit. Uh, I don't know where he is, and I don't think he even knows where he is. So let's leave that apart. I think there was a video of him eating some barfi and all that stuff as celebrations of Imran Khan going behind bars. But in any case, he's. It'll be interesting if the Pakistani army actually chooses him to come into power. Uh, let's wait and watch. I don't know if what's going to happen, but this is again one of the rumors that he's angling and he's kind of messaging and uh, the Pakistani army and he's on test right now and this and that and the other. I don't buy any of it because if he knows what's good for him, I don't know if you'd want to sit in their lap once again. Now, army deployed in Punjab. This is an official letter. Of course, there's somebody's stamp on it, which is in talks about the factor that the government or whatever federal government in Pakistan exercises powers under Article 245 of the Constitution, Section 4, Bar 3, Anti-Terrorism Act 1997 invites the army to come and provide security and army troops for maintaining law and order situation across the Punjab province and aid of civil power. Very, very interesting. Now, these guys were trying to avoid an election because they said we are busy and we don't have manpower. Now they are basically going to be taking over Punjab. Fair enough. Let's look forward. The same order came out from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which says, I'm directed in refer subject state in view of prevailing law and order circumstances for safety and of property and citizens. Uh, Government install is requesting the requisition of armed forces in aid of civil power under Article 245. Two, two states, and these are both the states where Imran Khan dissolved the government. They are supposed to do elections there on the 14th of May. Now, the army takes over both the states where they had said they can't provide security for the elections. And now the army is taking over the states. कहानी में twist. Now, what is this? Is it a state by state? भाई धीरे धीरे एक state लो, दूसरा state लो, तीसरा state लो. Take one state by the other. A complete martial law or an emergency. State wise. धीरे धीरे चलते रहो. Understand one thing. There is something happening here which is being tried, which the army chief is trying to do. There are also rumors that the chief of general staff he convened a certain meeting with certain corps commanders, and I will tell you who they are, to discuss the situation. Now, remember one thing: when the army chief is not in the country, it is the chief of general staff who runs the army and the country by default. What's happening here? Let's move forward. This is an interesting tweet that came out from Manzoor Pashtun. Manzoor Pashtun is the founder of the PTM, Pashtun Tahaffuz movement. Right? They are like the non-violent Pashtuns. I don't know how, but they are. I asked this question to Mr. Tilak Devasar in an interview I did with him. It was a very interesting situation. Anyways, if you have the time, guys, check it out. It gives a lot of insight. And he says the government has issued a notification to call up the army in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. But here in the action in aid of civil power has been implemented since 2008. And since then, the army is army everywhere. So, what is the meaning of this notification? Very interesting. Join the three together. This guy is asking a very pertinent question. Right? What they are trying to say is that there is a, remember one thing, the bottom line, law and order situation. Both the letters said law prevailing, law and order situations. This one, law and order situations. right? So it's very, very important to remember that these two states are potential heavyweights as far as Imran Khan is concerned. The Supreme Court, the Chief Justice who's been quiet till now. The first statement came out today in the evening, which says what's happening in this country. That's it. That's the statement. No suo moto, no whatever. So that's very interesting, right? And that tells me that Imran Khan may just have a counter attack with the Supreme Court coming up. If he's just woken up after 30, 40 hours of probably napping, why? Why now? The president is also quiet. So there are few factors which are, which may work around in this entire game. It's not all lost for the PTI guys. Otherwise, I think the streets would have cleared up. There is something else which is there at the back end. Let's wait and watch what the Supreme Court does, if it does anything, if it's not been threatened by now. Let's wait and watch what happens with the army. Point number two, and let's also wait and watch with regards to another development with regards to guys coming in from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. There's a huge traffic of armed people trying to enter Islamabad from there, right? And there are these Saabs, of course, there's these Vaderas, uh, fully armed. I mean, that's all I would say. They are fully armed and they're coming towards Islamabad. Now, I saw this news in the afternoon, and by the evening, there's been gun battles in Islamabad. Confirmation is not there who's firing at whom. A lot of firing has happened towards the police and the army. What exactly is taking place with this state as a game is something that we'll have to see. And who comes in the garb of being from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa? TTP, Taliban, IS, Al Qaeda? No clue. Now, what about the nukes? We know I've described to you a very crazy scenario. What's happening with the nukes? Who's guarding them? Are the people guarding those nukes with their head straight? Are the guards, at the end of it, there are people like you and me with skin, blood, and bones. They have families who probably one of them likes Imran Khan, one of them doesn't. Who has a family who's next to who's somebody got killed in a police shooting. I'm asking very, very simple, basic human questions. I will tell you if there is I'm going to give you some more evidence with regards a break within the Pakistani army. But the questions need to be asked by the international community, and starting by India. I don't know why we've not said anything about this till now. This is the best time to build up pressure. What is happening with the nukes? Who is guarding the nukes? Who? Which unit? What is the unit's history? Are they with Dirty Harry or the other guy? There's obviously another guy within the army, but obviously, dusra banda. Who's guarding them? They are here. The nukes are here. Sargodha, right? And this is a 2016 image. There's a lot many more. This thing. I'm just trying to drive a point. If you can find this out of the internet, how secure are these bases? GHQ Rawalpindi, you could not keep the gates closed. How secure are these bases? We're all laughing at Pakistan going down the tube. We need to ask these questions. Masroor is in the middle of the desert. Pano Akil garrison. And the coordinates are there, guys, so you can check them out if you want. Fateh Jung, Pakistan. I don't know. This is a big question I'm asking to myself. What are what is happening with these? Who are the guys controlling the safety and security of the nukes? How are their families involved with these protests? Are their families involved in these protests? Are there any political connections with this thing? Because if the game in Pakistan is going to get even further polarized, these are things we need to find out. We need to ask. We need to know about, because this is a dangerous thing. I'm bringing a different angle, guys, and there's something that I'm going to tell you which is happening in Pakistan. Now, this is a funny thing. I mean, something wrong with these Pakistanis. That's why I keep saying that I wonder who is got a brain in that country. NAB declares Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif's family innocent. Puri family is innocent in any laundering reference. This came out of the ARY, so it is quite interesting that it comes around like that. The What's happening with these? ये तो अपना they're just washing their laundry, nothing else. I mean, it's just stupid. Now this brings me to my final couple of slides where I'm gonna just remove all this stuff so that we can concentrate on this for the next 3 to 5 minutes when I talk about this, and we can move on and get into your questions. I see quite a bit of them. Let's see. All major attacks. Let's now think a little bit along with me. All the major attacks by these people are on the leadership of the army, core command, headquarters, core commander. That's all you're hearing. General ye, general wo. Nobody talks about a captain, a colonel, or a major, or nothing. It's an anti-army thing. But I personally want to distinguish and create a line. It's an anti-army leadership protest targeted on the leadership. Multiple videos I've seen wherein there's an army jawan standing with his guns and all that stuff, and the protesters come in towards close to him, and a lot of them say, "Don't touch him. There's no need for him to this thing," and they kind of protect him from the mob. So they're not against. In some cases, if the firing is opened up, it's another whole different ball game. But till now, what has happened is the protests have been targeted towards the leadership of the army. The ISPR came out and gave a statement that yesterday is a black chapter. How is this not political? I don't know. Neutral. TTP is watching, guys, and I've said this before in this talk. TTP is watching, and they've got the people for it. For it, what is it? That IT that I asked, I don't know. But if today the TTP hits, tomorrow morning the maps of Pakistan will be different. Let me just say that. The one question I want to ask is all these places, Corps Commander Lahore, Peshawar, GHQ Rawalpindi, these offices, ISI they attacked. Where did the people go? Why are these houses empty? Corps Commander's house is empty. Ek banda nahi. There's one chap with a bloody gun standing there. There's no one else. Why were they empty? Did these guys know beforehand? Obviously. So they've all run off. They knew what's going to happen. Right? So let's keep that. Who opened the gates to these places? Damn things are locked. Some guy had to have opened the gates. A lot of places I've seen, especially in the GHQ or a signals headquarters or somewhere like that, where this guy this lady is like coming the gate and stuff like that, and this guy comes, Madam Thardo, and he opens the gate and just runs away from there. Why are those guys opening gates? The army's first job should be securing its assets, leave alone the rest of the things. If they are opening the gates of the GHQ, I go back to my nuclear question. Of course, I don't think the Pakistanis are mad enough to go finding their nuclear weapons and stuff like that, but cannot the TTP? There's something called Khamosh Mujahids in the Pakistani army. Okay, and this is something which I have read today quite a bit. Khamosh Mujahids are the so-called, I mean, so in Pakistan today, the distinction is if you're straight thinking, you're pro Imran Khan. If you're not, you're on the other side. So if you're straight thinking and in the army today and understand what's happening, you're a Khamosh Mujahid who's waiting to do stuff. Okay, so this is a term which is going around, and there's a lot of assurance coming from a lot of sources, right? Ex retired 4Gs and this and that. And I've been kind of following these guys today. They're all talking about this खामोश मुजाहिद ने एक पैगाम भेजा है कि आप फिक्र मत करिए हम कुछ करेंगे. 4 core commanders are not happy. I know 4 are not happy. I know 2 of them who are absolutely unhappy. The guy from Lahore whose house got burnt and whose korma got stolen. His korma and salad and Coca-Cola got stolen. And the Corps Commander Peshawar. Now, let me just show you this. Corps Commander Peshawar, Lieutenant General Hassan Azhar Hayat, while leaving his Corps Command house, he actually, the rumor has it, he caught a helicopter and went somewhere. And he said, I told him not to do this stupidity. I think you guys can read the rest. And this is not come from one source, guys. This has come from multiple sources where this is being confirmed that there is begun to be a pushback from these two chaps specifically with regards to the violence which is happening in their areas. So there is something which is happening that we don't know about at the back end in terms of the Pakistani army. Why has Munir not come back till now? Is he trying to showcase a message of strength? Ki bhai, don't worry, I am going to finish my thing. I trust my core commanders. But then this statement, I want to ask, who created this monster of Imran Khan? They themselves did it. ISI put out a statement through certain journalists, saying, oh, no, this, that, Evo, and all that. Well, same nonsense. But the biggest thing that they have said is the Imran Khan wants to influence the courts, Supreme Court. Now, please understand, the president of Pakistan, he is the commander in chief, as per se. He could technically remove the Pakistani army chief, the sitting Pakistani army chief. Could happen, right? In that case, will the chief of general staff take over? He is, as it is, the de facto chief right now. There's some khichdi which might be brewing. Now, all this could just not happen. But a lot of sources today are talking about this thing. And I'm not going to say who. There are some open sources, which is guys like Adil Raja and all those chaps who are full of conspiracies. And there are some other guys who are quiet, who are sorted. And I've tended to realize that these guys give out quite good information. Biggest question I'm asking, again, I asked this question during the nuclear thing. Soldiers are people too. They have families. Does their wife like Imran Khan? Which is the case in a lot of serving officers and men's families. Their families love Imran Khan. How did this guy go back home? This is what happens when your army is involved with internal politics. Because the line between national security and international security will get so blurred that you really don't know which way to look. What can the army do? Even if it takes over, will the people accept the chief of general staff? Or this, whatever. You may want to term it as an emergency or a martial law, whatever it is. Remember the previous times, and I said this yesterday in the show, every time the takeover has happened, the people have accepted it. मिठाइयाँ बंटती थी यार. And the last thing that I'm asking here is protester can break the army compounds. Who's looking after the nukes? Come back to the same thing again. What is the mentality of the people that are looking after the nukes? Let's talk about thought processes, their families, their loyalties. There's so many things that come into the picture. And nobody seems to be asking that question. Oh no, Pakistan is a professional army and all that stuff. Yeah, I buy that. A lot of our senior military officers say that, and I buy that. Trust me, I'm not one to detract from that point. But I still want to ask the question: what is the mentality of the people guarding these strategic assets of Pakistan? Which regiment is this? Is this a Baloch regiment with actual Baloches in them, which is quite impossible, but you might have one or here and there? Or is this a frontier regiment with some guy whose brother is a TTP chap? I don't know. So this is something I showed you. And it's a very, very telling thing. It has come out multiple places. Now, this was something that I had to show you, just last two slides before I actually come to the main point. Yanamir said since 35 years, Pakistanis have been standing for Kashmir. Today, Pakistan is burning. Not a single Kashmiri is standing or bothered to even express solidarity. Reality check for the Pakistanis. Their entire being is to snatch so called Kashmir from India. And here, not one, not one guy with a horse is standing there. I asked this question right at the beginning. What did the Pakistani army want at that time to avert this election nonsense? Because अगर election होगा यार, we'll have to do a lot of rigging. People will catch us. वैसे ही पंगे होने वाले हैं. Right? And if elections free and fair, Imran Khan will be back. There'll be a bloody issue. What do? You create this thing here. Bilawal Bhutto goes there, creates nonsense there. बकर बकर तू भी टेस्टिंग पे है. एक पूंछ में अटैक कर दो, उसके बाद और भी करो ये वो this that. And by the way, the Rajouri and this and that, the fights have happened. It seems quite pretty well trained chaps. I won't be surprised if there was a who from the Pakistani army itself leading that. I won't be surprised. So, what were they looking for? They were looking for India to attack so that they can say, see, we've got a threat. वो हुआ नहीं. Now, this time I actually commend the government for being very patient about it. We should hit back. Our 10 lost, must be 100 on the other side. I don't deny that fact. We should hit back, but not at the time when it benefits them. What they're doing with India today is trying to get India involved in their internal affairs. So they couldn't get a response from India. Now what do? चलो यार इमरान खान को ही उठा लो. Create internal chaos so that the army has to get deployed and they get what they want at the end of it. A puppet to sit in front like Bilawal or some guy like that. I also asked this question today to somebody I was talking to in Pakistan. I said, what if your prime minister doesn't come back? वो बोल भैया मैं छोड़ यार, मैं कहा तुम कर लो जो करना है. He's in London. He's not come back. Country is burning. He's sitting around se. Army chief is sitting outside. What if the prime minister says, "Na मैं नहीं आ रहा"? The question that the Pakistani army needs to ask itself: plot या Pakistan? And this is my little, and I'm openly saying this, information chutri that I'd like to leave in Pakistan. You know what's a chutri? It's like a little kida that you leave inside. I asked this question to, and I know there are Pakistanis in the program today. Please ask your generals, to what do they want? They want their plots or they want their Pakistan? Can't have both anymore. By the way, IMF just gave you guys a kick and said, you're not getting anything. And to a lot of the people who used to say Bangladesh's GDP is much higher and this and that and yevo and all that nonsense. The Bangladeshis were fudging their figures, right? These are our neighbors. And anyways, let's get back to Pakistan. Plot ya Pakistan. Please ask this to the next Pakistani you see or interact with. They need to ask their generals this question. And the biggest question that I'm asking is, what's happening here? It seems like the Pakistani army wants to gain control. In what way and by whom is a big question. It's probably the first time that we are seeing some sort of a pushback from the corps commanders pretty openly. Certain areas, rumors have it that commanders have refused to fire, but firing is still happening. Now, I don't know who's doing the firing and against whom or what. They're both sides of the story. It's a developing situation, and let's wait and watch. But once again, guys, plot ya Pakistan. Let's get into your questions. Oh my, there's loads of them. Let's see what you guys have to say about what I've just said. Pakistani army is an interesting game. And before I do, guys, like the video, right? There are close to 250 people watching. Please like the video, subscribe. And as I said, you can support me with Dev Talks efforts with the QR code or super chats, or you can become a member. Ishan, thanks so much for your contribution. You say, look at the irony in the fact that the nation has concluded the most amount of coups and regimes in the world and is unable to help the most notorious nuclear armed pawn from suffering the same fate. I have not even gotten into the fact of what the international community is talking about. Something we discussed yesterday. So I don't want to get into that. But yeah, your point is absolutely well taken. The problem is that Pakistan has been a rentier state. They've always needed a purpose to survive. What was their purpose? Some war or the other around in the neighborhood. Today they don't have that. They're trying to make Ukraine their purpose in life, but it's not happening. What do? You create chaos within and try and become important. That's all. Once again, thank you so much. Aadi, have you considered that the idiots in charge might be forgetting that troops they instruct to beat or shoot protesters will take their uniform off after the shift and go home to the family who have relatives amongst these protesters? I'm vigorously shaking yes, absolutely. That's the point I'm trying to make. Please understand that these are human beings at the end of it. Yeah? I mean, no matter how much discipline and this and that you talk about, but these are simple human beings. They have feelings. They have been told Riyasat e Medina, Amar bil Maruf, and this and that, and they believe all that. Their Pakistani military academy has a board saying jihad and Jihadul Fasibullah as their main claim to fame or whatever they want to call it. So that's absolutely correct. It's something that we need to consider. They are human beings and they will respond like human beings, right? Nela says Pakistan is the next Afghanistan. Yeah, don't say that. Yeah. I think our Afghani friends will get pissed off. Don't say that. Jakpreet Saab, thank you so much. Jai Hind. I am serious. Yeah, Afghanistan friends will get pissed off. Don't say that. you know. Uh, but Anikesh says, I don't know. It's good. It's not good for regional stability, but I can't help but want a civil war. Can't happen to a better country. Well, statistically, yes, but it will also create a huge amount of problem within our region, as you yourself have said. Guys, don't forget to check this tweet out. where I've linked in this Twitter address. Check it out later on after the show. Hear this conversation. It is fantastic. If it's real, it is absolutely fantastic, right? Ganeshan says calling somebody as Dirty Harry is offensive. Why? Dirty Harry is a character in porn movies. Well, yeah, I think it's also a Harry character which was played by Clint Eastwood in one of these movies, which was John says. Uh, and this is it's a thing name that was given for the first time back in Pakistan's this thing that Imran Khan actually came out and said who it was. So ah that went a little, you know, Pakistan's guiding principle, that which is rational will not happen. Naveen, dhanyawad ji for bringing this point up. You don't know what's going to happen. A rational country would go a certain direction. A rational, this thing, where our brain and imagination stops, that's where probably Pakistan starts as far as being crazy is concerned. So the reason I put out these questions today is I want to keep these options open to for us to analyze and for us to see what's happening. If there is some nonsense taking place in these little areas where you see the breakdown in sociology of the Pakistani army soldiers, we have a challenge. So, SN, you say like Imran Khan, does Shahbaz Sharif and his party have any sympathizers within the? I'm sure they do. Will they play? The current army chief seems to be a sympathizer. I don't think he's a sympathizer. He's just a keeping this guy as a front. But I'm sure they do. I mean, I'm sure they do. Understand one thing: the PPP, Bilawal Bhutto's party, is supposed to be very pro-army. So, yes, sir, types. Yeah. So, Jagmeet Saab, you say that I expect the army to start cracking down heavily by tomorrow. How will the public react? Can't predict. If they do decide to crack down, arrest, and all that stuff, it'll be fine. I don't think that'll create much of a challenge. But if the trigger gets pressed, then it could just burst into, you know, it could just go out of control. And that's something I'm worried about. Ganeshan says, just an info, past Pakistan President Pasha was my college mate at GWU. He was briefly Pakistan President. Nice and good guy. Thank you so much for the information. Uh, I do trust your judgment, but I wouldn't trust a Pakistani with a, a single buck. They have something in their minds all the time. So, Sawan, this is a point I read when you wrote this. Now, it raises a very interesting question. You say that it doesn't have a strong leader. The last time all this kachra was happening, the Imran Khan was outside and was able to communicate and this and that. This time he's not there. Sham Muruk Qureshi is a monkey. Question is, if anything happens to Imran Khan, which a lot of pro PTI guys are saying, isko maar denge, isko injection denge. A wild thought. If it actually happens, army is fully in control after that. That's the end of any resistance within Pakistan. Right. Ayan Hussein says free Imran Khan. Absolutely. Actually keep him in tag for a little bit more. Sushant Sareen says Khan is finished. He would be quietly retired from his political life. I saw that. I saw what he said. I think he's got a little fight left in him. And this is quite a juncture in Pakistan. I would actually say that it's if he actually goes away, you can imagine the entire Messiah would just fly off. It'll impact even this. What he's saying is, I don't know if Sushant has actually taken that into consideration. The Pakistani people consider him as a Messiah, as a God sent, right? They actually say, "ये तो भाई वो है Allah की देन है." Now, if he walks off, leaving them alone, who do they believe? Who do they trust? Mindset. He can be retired, but yeah, I mean, what happens to those people? There was an attack in Waziristan, 40 militants killed. is current chaos some sort of a diversion? I don't know if it's a diversion, but I think it's more of a case building, and they needed some chaos to happen within the country to get away from this election nonsense, because I don't think the army chief is strong enough to rig the elections at the moment. It takes a little time for the chief to kind of set his boots in and get his people in and stuff like that. So it's, you know, John, you say TTPs and Balochis are quiet because it's not their fight and they didn't see no opportunities to exploit. To an extent, I agree, but if the Pakistani army starts getting attacked, well, they're going to be back with a vengeance. Let me assure you that. It looks like this may not blow up into a civil war. Is it so? I Civil war is a little beyond that, because at the end of it, this army has come from Punjab. It's a Punjabi army. Most of the action is happening where in Punjab. I think it's going to be very difficult for the Pakistani army soldiers to start shooting at their people. There will be these shootouts here and there and this and that. And as a lot of them are saying, nobody knows who's firing the bullets where. Even the authorities have not been able to figure out what happened. Peshawar is a bit different because there are other elements within Peshawar that could be doing a lot of nonsense, but I think it should not go there. But if I when I say that, I think to myself, what else can happen? And I'd say that there's a kind of a civil war as it is on. So your question of a full scale civil war, fair enough, I'll take your point, but I'll say that there is a civil war already on within Pakistan. Naveen, you say from the TTP's perspective, this is the best time to get involved covertly as agitators and get an armed reaction going against the arm. Absolutely. That's the fear. It can be TTP, Balochis, ETIM, Al Qaeda, IS. It's a religious fight for them at the end of it. So, yeah, you'll find all these guys, all these characters standing there and, doing whatever they need to. It's Rahul, I think that's a no international. I don't think any event is going to happen in Pakistan. The entire what is happening is well orchestrated uh, event from hell, if I may. It is very, very interesting. Pushkar, you say, do you think the situation will escalate, or will the Pakistani army be able to control this? Because the biggest concern for us is their nukes. As I said, yeah. Well, at the moment, the Pakistani army's reaction has been muted. They've kind of just given statements and this and that. But having said that, now that two states have asked for the armies to come in, that means there will be barricades and there'll be manning and this and that. All that stuff will happen. Let's wait and watch, yeah. But I think they should be able to muzzle it down to a large extent. But there will be sporadic violence, and that's something that we need to see how the army itself handles it. That's the big question. If the army is going to go a little ting tang, ah, that's going to be a problem. The nation, you asked what's going to be the economic situation in Pakistan after this. If it's overshadowed by political chaos, economic situation very important and could lead to more chaos if it's not addressed now. So I don't know, man. If there's an ATA available for, I don't know, $1,000, and people are stealing stuff from people here and there, so that's another way of anarchy. People just don't have anything and they start looting. What do you do then? There's obviously going to be a lot of stock within Pakistan that can be looted for a week. What next? IMF has said no. I don't know. Think if Saudis or somebody here and there will come in at this time and say, "Bhai, okay, I'll give you money. You're burning, but I'll give you more." Not going to happen. The Chinese walk away. It's going to be a big problem. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly my point, John Saab. Until there's a split or mutiny with the army, I won't exactly. And that split or mutiny can be at the unit level. That's something that we in India need to understand. It can be at the unit level. It does not need to be in the leadership. There are two generals fighting, fair enough. It's happened before, Kashif Aziz and Parvez Musharraf. If it happens at the baseline level, which is what we say is the professional part of the Pakistani army, you've got a challenge. Uh, do you think USA or UK will chip in at some point, or will they let the situation worsen, hoping that it will spill over and damage India? I don't think there will be an India factor because the dehyphenation of India Pakistan happened quite a while ago. Statements have come out with from Antony Blinken, who said rule of law must be established. Rishi Sunak in his parliament said this is an internal trouble. We're not going to comment on it. People are kind of keeping it away because it's a tricky topic. London is as it is. There's problems, so I'm sure he's kind of not wanting to go either ways as far as his own constituency is concerned. Americans will give a comment about human rights or anything, but understand one thing. That's where the emergency and martial law difference comes in. If there is an emergency, the army can control, take over without calling it a martial law rule like dictatorship. Then they can say, this is what is happening. We need, this and that. That's why we put an emergency. It'll probably be a little more acceptable because if there is a coup, then there are certain automatic sanctions get triggered anywhere around the world. So when there's a coup, all these sanctions get triggered on that country, for example, in Myanmar and stuff like that, and you have another whole set of challenges. So the army will try and find another way if they need to actually take over, and that's something that's interesting that we need to understand. Let's see some more. Ishan, thank you so much for your contribution. He says the nukes are literally what is still keeping them together as a miserable excuse of a nation. That might be their final secret. We might never know about this till the end. Yeah, well, philosophical statement there, Ishan, I must say. But yeah, that's how it is, There, the problem is that the reality of understanding what's happening in the country is just not there. Uh, I don't know whether these, as I said, Imran Khan, he's a buffoon. He's not. I mean, they told everybody that he's gonna clear up corruption and this and that. He's got caught himself. What is his plan for Pakistan? And if there are any PTI, Imran Khan, Jai supporters, please tell me if he's got a plan for Pakistan. I don't see it. His plan is what? ये army बेवकूफ है, ये शहबाज शरीफ चोर है, ये वो. It's like the Indian opposition, and I don't like discussing politics on my channel, but 90% of our opposition is what? Anti something. What the hell are you pro? You can't be anti someone and run something. It's the entire problem with Pakistan. They're anti India. How can you focus yourself on growth and development when you're anti someone? Half the time you're abusing someone. That's all you're doing. In India, we don't do that. I mean, yeah, we do that here and there and this and that. 90% of our shows are talking about what's this challenge, how to counter this, how to figure this out, how to understand this, understand what's happening in Ukraine, understand what's happening here and the other. We are looking at various different things today. Is Pakistan? No, they're looking at anti-India. Bilawal Bhutto जाके कश्मीर का नाम लेगा तो I mean, that's how it is. That's how they think. So what do you do with a country which is anti someone? What do you do with a setup which is anti someone? Even he doesn't have a plan. I don't really, understand. What's his plan to improve Pakistan? What info ops can the Pakistani army run its own people? You should read about the ISI. They've got a whole wing. It's called the S wing or C wing or something like that, which is S wing, dedicated at information operations within the country. They run all sorts of propaganda campaigns. They run all sorts of anything which is diverted outside, more of it is diverted inside. Remember, in any authoritarian regime, a lot of their security budget, like in China, almost 50 to 60% of their security budget goes to internal security rather than external security. A lot of people look at $275 billion security budget for China. I'm sure there's a lot more which is hidden, but a lot of it goes in installing these stupid facial recognition cameras all over the place. Everything is CCTV. It costs money to create one, buy the cameras, put the networks, the wires, the this, the that. It's a lot. So these authoritarian regimes spend a lot of money within internal security. So they focus internal intelligence, and they've got these little black units that work around and do, that Vigo nonsense. Ghar ke niche kali gaadi khadi ho jayegi and all that. So they do a lot of stuff. I mean, let me just say that they're pretty good at it as well. It's pretty interesting. Right. Rahul, you say, is the army finally putting the house in order and regain control? Why many people in India think that India is relevant in Pakistan crisis, as the Foreign Minister Jaishankar has already said, India has nothing to do in this. India doesn't have anything to do with this. There's no question about it. But India still remains relevant. You're a neighbor. They hate you, and yeah, I mean that's, I think, more than enough. It's for them is Ghazwa Hind and this and that and all that crap. I was watching a Pakistani channel, which uh, incidentally there was a comment that came out, and this channel guy decided to just keep it there. That ये पाकिस्तानी आर्मी के सारे सोमनाथ की तरह हैं, हमको गजनी की तरह सोमनाथ की तरफ जाना चाहिए. This is how their thought process is. Even in improvement, trying to kind of figure out how to clear up their country of kachra, they're talking about destruction, anti something again. You can't sustain like this. It's just not possible. You can't be so negative and think that ab sab theek ho jayega. It's not going to happen because your negativity is going to be, you know. And at this moment, I won't be caught dead with my finger in Pakistan. No, not at all. Please keep playing games on YouTube and Twitter and this and that. Beyond that, no. It's a dirty business because understand one thing: when if that thing collapses, it's going to splatter onto you. And I'd rather focus my energies to protect myself rather than put. Why should I put my finger into it? They're doing it to themselves. Thank you. Sumit says, I have a feeling it is stage managed or for a military takeover. American silence speaks a lot. Without army, America can't checkmate India. Uh, when Biden took over as president, army was back in Myanmar. It could be stage managed for a lot of other reasons, but I think you've taken it a little further away. Uh, they understand one thing: there's a distinction, very clear distinction within the American establishment on who hates India, who's like pro India. The Defense Department is pro India, right? They understand the China challenge and they know what Indian armed forces are all about, and they know you won't find any nonsense coming out of the Defense Department. It's the State Department, which is controlled by these globalist neocons. These are the guys who are, they're anti everything. If you show nationalism, they're anti you, whatever, wherever you are from. I mean, Sumit, let's say you are from Antarctica or Iceland somewhere. You say Iceland, yeah, whoa, this, that. They'll start getting anti you. Human rights, they, whoa, all that stuff will come against you. That's how they are. They want to break down borders. They want to just have the financial system controlled by the West, and we just sit there like grow the crops that they tell us and everything here and there. There's a difference, and that's the perpetual fight within the American establishment. And I'll probably someday cover that uh, in a show where I'll try and explain to you what globalism has done to this. What do they actually want? It's a very interesting discussion. Uh, is there any chance of a people's revolution by Pak communists in cahoots with Islamists to take over? I don't think they have communists in Pakistan. Very, very small. And communists in Pakistan would be as similar as the Islamists. So I don't see a difference, honestly, Rahul. I don't see a difference. Let's see. Exactly. Gather some booze, kebabs, tandoori, popcorn, whatever you like, and enjoy the show of Pakistan. Stay away. Stay the hell away from it. It'll burn. Uh, does India have a horse in the race? I'm sure we have. Sorry, I'm sure we have. Yeah, I'm sure there are agencies do a whole lot of things that, frankly, we don't know about. I'm sure we've got our ways of figuring it out, but I don't think it should be uh, in any way where there's a maximum or a hard impact. Remember, that's the challenge. So I'm sure our guys, if I can figure it out and I'm dumb doorknob sitting somewhere talking on a YouTube channel, our agencies are smarter and they got more information than I have from open source to understand where to put their hand and where not. Uh, there are incidents which are happening around us. If we are smart, we know what we are doing. So I'll leave it at that. Right? Let's see. Quite a bit of questions I've taken up today. It's interesting. Why do your videos not show up when I search by title? Goblet Fire, brother, please, brother, sister, please get in touch with me. I'll try and understand what your problem is. YouTube has suddenly done these videos live and this and that and the other, so it's divided. If you want to search for a live show, just go to my channel and click live. If you want to see a regular video there, I don't know why they've done it, but that's how it is. In certain tablets, you can actually go to recently uploaded and live, and everything will come there. So sorry about that, but uh, if you want more further help, get in touch with me, and I'll be glad to help you. Interesting question. What is Sharia law and punishment of corruption? Hand cut. That's for thievery, so it's pretty much the same. But I don't think the Pakistanis want that because half of them or 80% of them won't have hands left. Uh, you know, right. Let's take this. You're making too much of what's going on. It's a battle between PTI goons versus army slash PMLN. Eventually, PTI will be neutralized and everything will go back to normal. Yeah, well, I can understand if you can utilize the goons, but how do you kill an ideology? That's the ideology of hate that we are fighting in Kashmir. You can kill the terrorists. You can't kill the thought process which goes in their heads. That's the question I asked. If Imran Khan just walks away into the sunset, it's going to be quite an emotional back backlash for the Pakistani Janta who supports Imran Khan. From the old aunties to the young aunties to the old Uncle G's who are standing with their flags and this and that, getting shot and killed. And I mean, look at it from their perspective. It's quite much that we are probably not understanding as a psychological aspect. Venki Saab, nice of you to be here. Imran Khan probably knows too much about the army and the deep state, so no chances of him managing a slip seem very slim. Yes, absolutely, I agree with you. And if he still somehow manages, he'll be nothing more than a vegetable. Saab, the Supreme Court is still left. The president is still left. And if they do something, then the fight is out in the open. And the Supreme Court Chief Justice, as I said, has woken up today in the evening. I don't know what's going to happen in that aspect of it, but I don't know if Imran Khan has some cards left in his game. Chances are slim. I agree with you, but they're still there. And I don't know how the army is going to go forward. It's just been 1.5 days, and army is, yeah, taken a beat. Okay, last few questions. Pakistani army is foolish in framing charges on Imran Khan with there are no set rules in the country about gifts received. All Pakistani army rulers did the same thing. It's you're getting too specific, Reddy Saab, because it's not about the gifts. They don't care about it. They don't care about it. Here are generals who own thousands of acres of land. They don't care about some stupid watch. Neither does the Pakistani public because corruption is kind of there. That's how it is. But it's not that. These are just tools to get to a purpose. So there's a bit difference in that. So a funny comment. Don't you think religious extremism is going to decrease now? Rioters will split into two groups: extremists and the not. The not extremists will look at this group and go far away. Could happen. They could just say, नहीं नहीं यार ये बहुत ज़्यादा तोड़न ताड़ी हो गई है अभी थोड़ा हम पीछे हट जाते हैं. The general middle class and this and that. But that's the logical way of thinking. That's how rational countries think. Is Pakistan a rational country? No. Once they enter Argentina situation, then the Indian army can walk into POJK without any troubles. Well, I'd let the army decide that. Right, let's take the last few comments. Uh, yeah, absolutely. This one I agree with Shreyas. You say Pakistani people crossing into the border and coming into India is an extreme possibility. The Indian army should be ready for any situation. Absolutely. And I'm sure they are. Our the leaders and uh, the leadership in the armed forces are pretty strong in terms of their planning. And I'm sure that even the political leadership has thought about this, and there obviously is a battle plan ready if something does go wrong within Pakistan. I can assure you, uh, our agencies would know a lot much before when stuff will happen. There's enough intel that comes out of Pakistan. I can rest assure you that. I don't know myself. I don't get any, but by the looks of it, we know what's happening there. Right. Hit the like button, folks. Very, yeah, absolutely, very critical. I haven't seen because today is a solo of mine, so it's difficult for me to keep a track. Uh, John, you've brought out a very interesting thing because one of the last things I'm going to say is ironic how the US establishment is treating Trump the same way. Pakistanis would hope that you're giving a lot of hope to Pakistanis saying Trump and Imran Khan are the same. It's ironic, yeah. I mean, it's not this thing when you throw out Tucker Carlson shut down his show and this and that. It's not, you don't go down in notches of press freedom, but India does. Because Tucker Carlson got thrown out, India is right. Pakistani army ISPR blamed India for the riots. What the enemy could not do in 75 years, they are happening. That's not a blame. They've kind of termed it to us. But see, understand one thing. If this is a statement that has come out of Pakistan, is something that we used to say quite a bit that Imran Khan has done more damage to Pakistan than what India could have done from within. He's been the best source for the research and analysis wing, and I say that with all respect. Uh, to our agencies. I hope they don't bet on that horse. I'm sure they're not. But in a sense, you're right. And I keep asking this: what's Imran Khan's plan? aa to jayega. He's as rabidly anti-India. Kashmir, 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 Islamophobia. You don't remember he used to go out and yak all around the time. That's what he used to talk about us, leave alone his own country. Went into a tizzy. Uh, he did the same things everybody else did, put journalists in jail, took pangas with the military, stole stuff. His wife's brothers, uncles, auntie got rich, all the same. Uh, the problem is, all this just doesn't stick on Imran Khan because of the cult, right? And Mark, you say the last thing. Anarchy in Pakistan is a serious security concern for the region. Sahib, you're saying the absolute correct thing. With the kind of mentality that that country has, it's look what they do in UK. The grooming gangs, the this, the that, the other. It's it's quite scary actually. And I'd say this as the last this thing. There is something which is happening in the country that we need to keep a track of. There's a lot of propaganda. There's a lot of nonsense around the place. I have tried my best to sift through, double check, triple check, whatever I've presented to you. But this still tells you there's something happening within the army, which is the most important thing in Pakistan, which may just lead into something that we all hope for. It's might this might be the time where Pakistan may have to look at itself, or if it doesn't, I don't think it's going to be there for a long time, right? Uh, Chris Bell says, "How do you think China will intervene?" I don't think it will. Uh, Probably give them some money and this and that, but I don't think it will. I don't think anybody would want to step into that. Remember that it's not something that is going to be easy for the Chinese itself. Chinese are a huge threat, So they'll probably keep supporting the army in the northern regions to keep that shit away from their border. Sorry for that word, but yeah, that's what the Chinese game would be. Anyways, thanks so much, guys. A lot of you joined in. It's always nice interacting with you. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be back with Major General Prabdeep Singh, where we learn about what's happening in Ukraine and what's Russia's plan for Ukraine. There's some hints coming out of the Russians. There's a counteroffensive coming in. Some say it has already started in Bakhmut. There's some pushback and this and that and the other. Whole lot. Pakistan has kept us occupied today. I'm going to be do, uh, getting this show on with Major General Prabdeep Singh. So all of you guys, please join in at 10 tomorrow night. Till then, Jai Hind.